The following podcast is a presentation of This Is Infamous. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, ladies and gents. It has been far too long, but we're back. And this is a new episode of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. As always, I am your host, Billy Donnelly. Huge show on tap for you this week. I know I say we got a big show every week because every week seems like we have a lot to discuss. But this week, it is ginormous. Our expert-in-chief, Tom Nix, will be on later in the show. We have tons of new Japan Pro-Wrestling to talk about, including the culmination of the G1 Climax this year. We're going to talk about the end of the A block, the end of the B block, the finals between them, and what it all means moving forward. So Tom Nix will be joining me later on in the show. Also, very special guest joining me this week, the huggerific Izzy is going to be joining me to preview SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver coming up this weekend. So lots on the table. So much wrestling to fit into one episode, but we're going to do it. It's going to be a jam-packed, supersized, full-blown, stuffed to the brim, overflowing to the max episode of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. So strap yourself in and get ready. Look, I got a couple things I want to discuss before we talk about what's going on in the WWE this coming weekend. So bear with me. One, I do want to apologize for the lack of IWC podcast last week. As I've told you before, when I can help it, I will push through as best as I possibly can to make this podcast happen. And I hate missing episodes. I hate skipping episodes. I hate vacating episodes. I hate postponing episodes. I hate a week where I don't get to sit down and talk wrestling with my friends. I hate it. But last week, unfortunately, the universe was conspiring against me making this show happen. As you know, I'm in the middle of a relocation right now, in the middle of a move. Last week, I was able to sort of broadcast and record from the hotel where I was temporarily staying at until I was able to get into more permanent settings. Right now, I am in slightly more permanent settings, but moving from the hotel into where I am right now, into this apartment, this temporary location, it's permanent temporary, moving to where I am right now, way too many wrinkles, way too many wrenches thrown into the gears. It was a disastrous move in, I gotta tell you. And with everything going on and trying to get problems resolved and things situated, by the time we were going to be able to fire up the mics and get this going, I just said, you know what, let's just wait and do a big one next week. So my apologies for not letting you know a little bit sooner or as best as I could. My apologies for not delivering an episode of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation to you last week. I know it sucks. I'm unhappy about it, but we're here now. We're together now, and you know we're gonna try and make the best of this. And look, I told you it's a crazy episode coming up, so I think we're more than make up for it this week. So once again, my apologies. I'm sorry that it happened, and we're just going to keep on pressing forward. Also, one other thing that I did want to discuss before we get started. Look, it has been a rough last few days, a rough week or so for a lot of people, especially concerning everything that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia. And look, I'm a big fan of escapism and trying to get away and trying to blanket myself in things I enjoy or things that bring me happiness to try and shield me from the ugliness that is taking place in the world around us. So I don't want you to think that I don't want to be flippant about anything that's going on out there in the outside world. There are people hurting. It is a very tough, very stressful, very saddening, very frustrating, very angering, very infuriating time right now for a lot of people, myself included. And what I'm hoping to do, at least with this episode, is to give us some time together to gather around each other, to just take a break just for a little bit, and once again curl up with something that makes us feel a little bit better. I'm not trying to solve the world's problems. I can't solve the world's problems. You know, everything that's happened the past few days has impacted me a great deal, my family a great deal, my friends a great deal. So I don't want to trivialize or minimize or undercut or undermine it in any way possible. If you're angry, believe me, I'm angry too. If you're sad, I'm sad too. But what I'm hoping to do, at least with this episode moving forward, is just give you just a little bit of time to think about something else just for a little bit, because that's what makes us human. You know, to be able to enjoy other things, to make this whole thing worth it. And for many of us, wrestling makes this whole thing worth it. So I just wanted to say a couple words on that front, and hopefully what myself, what Izzy, what Tom Nix brings to the table this week, hopefully that'll help get you through just a little bit of time, and sort of alleviate some of the burden that I know a lot of people are feeling right now. So with that said, too, on the same front, I want to send a ton of love and respect to the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, who sent out what I thought was a real powerful tweet on August 13th, in the face of everything that's going on. It was a picture from his wedding with his wife, Brandy, that just said, "Nazis and white supremacists can keep marching backwards. Rest of us are going forward," with American flag emoji. Cody and his wife, Brandy, an interracial couple. So once again, I know how much a lot of what's going on impacts them greatly. I myself am engaged with an African-American woman as my wife Nicole, who is amazing all the time. I have 2 biracial children, so a lot of this hits close to home and cuts real deep. But I thought Cody Rhodes, stepped up here in the face of all of this awfulness and just put something out there that gives us some hope, man, that makes us feel good, that once again helps push us in the right direction to say, you know what, screw these awful people who are out there. There are some good people out there in the world, and we're bringing love to this whole bad boy, and hopefully that does something for all of us as we try to move forward through what is some pretty difficult times. So some love out there for Cody Rhodes. And then I wanted to touch upon at least 2 other things here before I bring Izzy onto the show. Number one, it seems, or it would appear, that Adam Cole, baby, has now officially signed with the WWE. Now, is that coincidental that in just a couple of days WWE will be bringing NXT TakeOver to Brooklyn for the third time. NXT TakeOver has been a platform for returning or debuting superstars to really announce their arrival to the WWE, or in this case, to NXT. That's how we saw Bobby Roode. That's how we saw Drew McIntyre. Could it be that on Saturday in Brooklyn, Adam Cole, baby, announces his arrival at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn? Some food for thought. I'll ask Izzy in a little bit if she thinks we might be seeing Adam Cole show up at TakeOver this weekend. And the other thing I did want to just bring up, look, I know a lot of people aren't paying attention to TNA or Impact Wrestling or GFW or whatever the hell it's called these days. But I wanted to at least raise this point that we have now learned about Alberto El Patron being stripped of the GFW Heavyweight Championship following their investigation of what has happened between him and Paige in their private life, which ultimately became public, with police getting involved and so on and so forth. Alberto El Patron, formerly known as Alberto Del Rio to a lot of people, was suspended indefinitely by the company while they were investigating the incident in question. El Patron acknowledges it was probably the right thing to do, acknowledges that the company was doing their due diligence and understood it, was okay with it. And look, I'm not here to sort of litigate or pass judgment on anything that Alberto El Patron and Paige have going on in their lives, okay? It is what it is, and I hope that they know what they're doing. I hope it's a healthy relationship for both of them. I hope that it is not as bad or as awful as some people want to believe or think exists. If there's evidence that it does exist, then I hope that whoever is on the worst end of this really gets the help that they need to get out of this. But when it comes to the wrestling side of it, El Patron has now been stripped of the title, which, after sort of being found innocent of any wrongdoing in this particular incident, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Suspending him to investigate, I understand that. That makes perfect sense. But then when your investigation is over and you have found that he's okay, to then continue to go forth and then take the title off him, I think just creates a larger issue for a company that a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence in right now anyway. So if you're going to do anything with Alberto El Patron, if you want to have him drop the belt and sort of move away from that, I think that helps you better than just stripping the title from him in what seems like an unjustified action following your investigation. And, I mean, look, that's GFW for you, though, isn't it? So just wanted to bring you up to speed on what's been going on there. Okay, so without further ado, I have a very special guest joining me this week on the program here on Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. She is the hugger extraordinaire. She is one of the champions of the hugger section. You have seen her all over the place as the Bayley superfan, as she is somewhat known, but I know her as one of my good wrestling friends and a friend of this show. It's Izzy. Izzy, thank you so much for being here on the podcast this week.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited for being on this podcast. I love doing podcasts. They're one of my favorite things to do in wrestling. I love talking about wrestling. Who doesn't?
See, and we had to schedule around your very busy schedule. I know you're back at school,
yes.
So congratulations on that. And I know you've been hitting the
Thank
gym, which is funny because you're at 10. You are probably right now in better shape than I am at any point in my life.
I would say that, but I want to get strong, and I want to so when I'm a teen, I can look good, and when I become a wrestler, if I still want to stream really badly, the stream is going to be real.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, my gut already says that you are doing much better than I am. So,
thank you.
So keep up the good work. Look, there is a ton of wrestling for us to talk about. And I wanted you here on the show because we have not only NXT, which you are at religiously on a regular basis, but we also have to talk about WWE SummerSlam. So we're going to talk a little bit about both cards, what we're excited about, what we're not that excited about. And then at the end, we'll make some predictions and we'll see how we score against each other when it's all over. And if I win, I don't know what I get. I think I just have to work out some more. But if you win, you get my continued unadulterated and undying support. So that'll be our slight wager. So look, let's start with NXT TakeOver Brooklyn number 3. 5 matches on the card as NXT returns to the Barclays Center once again. All NXT titles will be on the line. The tag team title, the women's championship, as well as the NXT championship. How are you feeling about this card going in? Have you been excited about the way that TakeOver 3 has been building and coming together?
I'm pretty excited. I have butterflies in my stomach just thinking of it. So I know last year was a very special TakeOver. Not only for me, for Bayley, the other 4 horsewomen, her mom, and all of the hugger section, nation. So it's kind of special, and I didn't want to go because I personally wanted a little party at my house, have some friends over, or I don't know, or do it just with my family. But I am really excited, and I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm actually wondering about the Asuka match. Mostly, but I'm hoping Sanity is going to win.
Okay, so which of the 5 matches that are on the card, which one excites you the most? Is it that women's championship match?
I think so, and then I think it might be the women's match then Sanity for my excitement level, because I'm really excited for Sanity, and surprisingly, they're actually one of my favorites now because they kind of remind me of almost like villains from DC Comics and the people that live in Gotham, if you don't know, Batman and where Batman fights. So they really remind me of that, so that's why I just love them a lot because I love comics and all that fun nerd stuff. But I'm really excited for Sanity, and I really like the whole thing with the zip tie to the guardrail. I don't know if you saw me, but I was really scared when that happened because I wasn't paying attention. So I thought it was so cool that was happening. So I just love Sanity, and I was so scared when Eric Young popped up. So I'm really excited for that match.
Well, let me ask you about the women's match because your horse, so to speak, has moved on. Bayley's moved on to the main roster. So the NXT women's division is a little bit different. The landscape is a little bit different right now. So when it comes to a match like this, who who gets your support? Is it Asuka, who took the title off of Bayley before she went up to the main roster? Or is it somebody new like Ember Moon who maybe freshens up the women's division a little bit?
That's a really hard question to think of because I love Asuka. Like, before, I was like, I don't like Asuka because she beat Bayley. And Bayley was on a streak of winning, and she was the NXT Women's Champion. But I love Asuka now, and then I like Ember Moon, so it's kind of tough. So I would actually like to see Ember Moon beat Asuka because I just want to see, like, someone beat Asuka. No offense if Asuka's listening. I'm sorry, Asuka. If you're ever going to hear this, I'm really sorry. But I kind of want to see that because I want to see what's going to happen. But it would actually be really cool to see if Asuka actually keeps it and is going to be a NXT Women's Champion for a very long time.
See, as you know that I am a giant Ember Moon fan. And your dad complicated things for me heading into this match, so I'm kind of torn because streaks are rare. Goldberg had a streak a long time ago when I was growing up as a wrestling fan, and the Undertaker had the WrestleMania streak. So streaks in wrestling are rare. So something like Asuka, who I think is at 500 something days and counting now, holding on to that title is pretty impressive. You almost don't want to see it end, but Ember Moon.
Yeah, but you want to see it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought they had a really good match at NXT TakeOver Orlando the first time around. I thought that the injury gave this story some extra life to get to this point. But I'm with you. I think that could be the match that really steals the show at TakeOver 3.
Yeah, and I actually didn't get to see the match at Orlando. Like, I only saw what happened. Like, Asuka bumped Ember off the rope when she was about to do the Eclipse. Because while TakeOver was going on, I was actually at the VIP signing at Access to meet Bayley because I just wanted to see her before her whole match and tell her good luck. And I'm rooting for her, like always. So I didn't get to see it, but it actually was very good, that match.
Well, you got a couple days. You can still get caught up and bring yourself up to speed. What are your thoughts on the NXT Championship match with Drew McIntyre returning to NXT, rising up the ranks, earning that number one contendership, and now challenging Bobby Roode, who had a pretty tough task with Roderick Strong in recent weeks before this match. But what do you think as far as Bobby Roode continuing as the NXT champion, or is it time for a change?
I'm not really sure because I like Bobby Roode, but I kind of want to see a new champion to see, like I said with Asuka, she maybe for a change, maybe something like different's gonna happen. Like, I like Bobby Roode. I want him to keep it, but I also want him to lose it. So I'm not really sure yet, but I think that's gonna be a credible match.
I know you're big on Sanity for the tag titles, so I'm guessing you're gonna pick them to win this time around.
Yeah,
probably with some shenanigans from Eric Young and Nikki Cross. But what are your thoughts on the other two matches between Aleister Black and Hideo Itami, as well as Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Almas? Do you think? I mean, one of those matches is probably going to be the opener of the match, and usually the opener of an NXT show is really exciting.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think both of those two matches will fit in this whole card and sort of set the tone for the championship matches?
I'm not really sure. I think Hideo versus Aleister Black, I think that's actually going to be the match of the night. And because usually Aleister is a great wrestler. I really like him. I'm sorry, because before I didn't like him a lot because I'm not a fan. He's really just an entrant. But now I'm warming up to him. And same with Hideo. I really like him as well. So, and I like the whole bad side to him. I think it's really good. And I did see the video before, like, on the WWE Network's YouTube channel. I did see that. So I really liked the video, and it kind of set me for Brooklyn TakeOver 3. So I'm actually really excited for that match. And I'm hoping that's actually going to be the match of the night, because I think they're actually very good, strong wrestlers.
Yeah, they are tremendous strikers. So I would agree. I mean, that one could be. I'm still holding out hope on Asuka Ember Moon. I think that one is going to steal the show.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised. Even Gargano versus Almas could really surprise a lot of people, because those are. I mean, those are two really tremendous wrestlers, especially with Gargano coming back. So overall, I think you're right. I think, look, I haven't seen a bad TakeOver card. In all of the TakeOver cards, I can't remember there ever being one where I was like, this one's just awful. So look, I know you've been to Brooklyn for the TakeOvers. That crowd is really hot. Super excited about everything going on. So, I mean, do you think that this TakeOver Brooklyn will live up to the hype?
That's actually a very good question. And I'm actually not even sure, because maybe it might be after I see it, because I'm going to thank Brooklyn, number one, when they first went to Brooklyn, the first time that it was their first time out of the state for TakeOver, which I thought was an amazing TakeOver. Not just because Bayley won, because I thought it was just a cool TakeOver. I really liked the whole setting, and I really liked the Finn match. I didn't really watch the Finn match because I took up my Bayley action figure and I started to play with her.
I don't want to talk about that match. We don't talk about that match. I know that you're excited about that match. I don't get excited about that match.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah, you know. Listen, you know my affections for Sasha Banks, and that is one of my all-time favorite matches until the end.
It is.
Yeah, so I don't like to talk. Why are you bringing up these painful memories for me, Izzy?
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay, it'll be okay, because Sasha will be the women's champion on Sunday, and that'll be the end of it. So. But yeah,
we'll have to get more into that. We'll probably have a debate.
Yeah, but look, I agree with you. I think TakeOver in Brooklyn is a great setting. People who are there are going to really enjoy themselves. I'm going to be sitting at home. I know you will be. Separate, not together. But I think it'll be a tremendous night. But a lot of wrestling. So I mean, let's transition into SummerSlam, because there are 12 matches scheduled for Sunday between the pre-show and SummerSlam. And this is in addition to all of the hours that are taking place on Saturday at TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Is this too much wrestling?
No, because I think I can always do wrestling every day.
You're okay with it?
Yeah, I love it. I think every day I watch wrestling, and then some days maybe I watch Sailor Moon. I haven't watched that in a while. I actually watched it recently, but I haven't watched it a lot because I just met the lady that did Sailor Moon's voice at Tampa Bay's Comic-Con. So now I was like, I need to watch the show. But I do watch a couple other shows like Gotham. I started to watch The Walking Dead, surprisingly. But really, it's mostly wrestling. So who doesn't love wrestling?
I'm glad that you're up for all this wrestling. I may have to take a nap in the middle of SummerSlam, just because it's so much wrestling. But let me ask you, at least going into SummerSlam, just about a couple things, and then we can get into the SummerSlam card. Number one, what were your thoughts on Monday Night Raw about sort of having the SummerSlam matches before SummerSlam? So we had Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, which was supposed to be on SummerSlam, still is on SummerSlam, but we already saw it. And then we also had Tozawa versus Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship, which was supposed to be on SummerSlam. Still is on SummerSlam, but we already saw it. Would you rather they just kind of hold those matches for the pay-per-view, or are you okay sort of watching them twice?
I wouldn't mind seeing them twice. And one thing I gotta say, I really enjoyed Finn versus Bray with the whole blood thing. And if you don't listen to Busted Open on SiriusXM, Bully Ray, he said that they should have made like Finn covered in the blood where the blood was dripping down, because then like it doesn't have like that whole magic like, oh, this is so scary. Because like with the bucket, I was like, it's cool. I thought it was very cool, but I was like, if they had it dripping down, that would have been awesome. Or have Finn covered in the blood. And the bad thing was they kept too long in the darkness, and I was like, okay, when are they kind of like gonna set this up? Because usually it's just 1 second, and he's gone, and I'm like, whoa, where'd he go? But then it's like 10 seconds. Like, I'm very patient, but I'm like, okay, usually it is very quick, but where's that whole magic feel to it?
Listen, you know when something is too long when the kids are noticing it. I'm just putting it out there. When the adults have less time, we notice very quickly. When the kids are like, it's too long, it's probably too long. So I would agree with you in that respect. And then I want to ask you about sort of the end of SmackDown, which was Baron Corbin attempting to cash in the Money in the Bank and failing miserably. Were you a fan of sort of taking the Money in the Bank out of play for SummerSlam, heading into, I guess, the Jinder Mahal Shinsuke Nakamura match?
So I was even saying to my dad, and I called him to Bust It Open today, and I even said it to them, that I was very, very happy that Baron cashed it in, because now Shinsuke is safe at SummerSlam. And I was very scared. I almost didn't want Shinsuke to win. I just love him so much. I really want him to keep the title for a very long time. So, and then what I really thought was, okay, this is really going to change the whole women's match with Naomi. So I don't think Naomi's safe anymore with Carmella having that Money in the Bank of hers.
So you thought Baron Corbin would cash in at SummerSlam and win the title?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I thought that, I was like, I don't want him to come in. I hope this doesn't happen. I don't want Shinsuke to win. But now Shinsuke's safe. I think I'm a bit more confident, but you never know that Baron might get more angry.
Okay, so there for the SmackDown main event for the WWE Championship, Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers obviously in his corner versus Shinsuke Nakamura. You think Shinsuke Nakamura will be crowned the new champion?
I think so, but you never know if the Great Khali... I don't know if they still call him that. Do they still call him that?
I don't know that anybody cares.
But the Great Khali, putting that in quotations, he came back when they had the Punjabi prison match. And maybe he might come back again, now that I'm thinking of it. So, no, I don't want that to happen. But you never know what can happen. Last-minute things happen. Usually, they can bring someone, like, for example, this is a stupid one, No Way Jose. No Way Jose, you're going up. And then last minute, they're going to change it.
I hope No Way Jose I hope No Way Jose does not interfere in this match.
Yes.
And to think of it, we have not seen the Great Khali since the Punjabi prison match, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's coming back from vacation here. I hope not. But I would agree with you. Now that Baron Corbin has failed and the briefcase is out of play, I think we may have Shinsuke Nakamura as the champion, and all the greatness that could follow that. So I'm with you on that one. Let me ask you about the Fatal 4-Way match, because this is four people who all want to hurt each other with Brock Lesnar defending the title against Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman have threatened to leave the WWE for good if they come away defeated as at SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar has been teasing perhaps a UFC fight with John Jones in the future, so there's no telling if he's going to be hanging around too long, even though I know he's still under contract. Who do you think will be the WWE Universal Champion when SummerSlam is all over and done with?
I'm going to go with Braun, or if maybe might be Roman.
No, you can only pick one, Izzy. There's 4 people. You only get one. You can't have half. You can't have half the match. You can only pick one. Yeah, you got a 25% shot of getting it right. You got to pick one of the 4. So okay. which one do you get?
I'm gonna say Braun.
Okay.
But if I had to choose,
no.
No. If I had to choose like a second one, I would say Roman, like, would be, like, the number 2, then maybe, like... Then I think Brock is, like, a definite no, but you never know. They can change, like I said earlier, but I'm actually really excited for that match. I think it's to be an awesome match because, like, Brock wants to hurt Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe wants to hurt Brock. Roman wants to hurt Braun. Braun wants to hurt Roman, so it works out good.
Look, I am all about 4 guys delivering pain. But I will tell you, if it is Roman Reigns, those people in Brooklyn might riot. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
I'm from that area. I know what goes on up there. I know how passionate they are. They hate Roman Reigns, and if Roman Reigns wins, they may tear the building apart, which is unfortunate because Barclays is a really nice arena.
It's a very nice arena.
Are they? Oh, okay. So before we get into sort of any matches that you think might steal the show, I want to talk about the women's championship match and sort of how we got here, because Bayley was originally supposed to be the number 1 contender, the challenger for the title against Alexa Bliss. But Bayley has now come away injured with a shoulder injury. She's going to be out for an undetermined amount of time, and that has opened the door for my girl, Sasha Banks. So look, it all comes full circle. You can have the NXT Championship in Barclays. I will take the WWE Women's Championship. But who do you think is going to come away from this match as the Raw Women's Championship? And then where do you think that sort of leaves Bayley when her shoulder is healthy?
So I'm just going to answer the question really quick because I really want to go into Bayley's injury and stuff. But that's actually really tough. I'm going to say Sasha because you never know, because I don't know. I just have it's kind of hard to think of it because you're like, okay, could Bayley go after Sasha? Could she get her revenge on Alexa? That's what we all thought when she originally was the number 1 contender. But so when I first saw it, I think I was just sitting on the couch watching wrestling, of course, and I think my phone went off or something, like for the network or something. And I looked at it and I started to read it and it said Bayley injury and I'm like, oh my God. So I was actually home alone because my dad was at work. So I was just watching wrestling and I just read it and I saw the video of Bayley's update for her injury. And then I saw next to it was the whole injury thing. So, I was very sad. I actually cried just a little because I was like, oh, my God, Bayley legit owns the Barclays Center. This is, that's her place. She owns it. She won the NXT Women's Champion. That was her last match in NXT. And she basically owns it. And I thought she was really going to get her revenge on Alexa. And it really sucks, like, because I love Bayley, and really I never seen her in this position, except one time she hurt her wrist, and I really wasn't that sad, but now that I think of it, because she had such a big match that was supposed to be at SummerSlam, now it's gone, because I just love Bayley so much, and I'm not sure where Bayley's going to end up, because I don't know if she's going to be out long, but if she is, I hope not. If they might do the Women's Royal Rumble, she might be the last one in there. You never know, because there have been rumors of that. But I miss Bayley very much. And I give all my love to Bayley. Bayley, if you're going to hear this, I really miss you, and I hope you feel good. And I felt so bad, because I know she loves this so much, and that this is, like, her childhood dream, and that she worked her butt off for this match. She had to go through Nia, so now I don't want to use my Nia action figure ever again.
I hope you didn't throw it out. That's like $10 right there.
No, I don't want to, because it looks exactly like her. I mean, exactly. I don't know which one. I don't know. I think they might be making a new Sasha, but it looks like she's wearing, like, her hair isn't even attached to her. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so scary.
Yeah, the Sasha Banks action figures are pretty poor. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
They are.
They do not look like Sasha Banks. They look like somebody else pretending to be Sasha Banks, and it's offensive.
I want to see, because I'm actually walking over here. I got one. Here, I have the Elite one. Yeah, it doesn't even look like her.
No, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's like her face is like all smushed and she's smirking. And then I don't like the way they made her arms. Like, they're kind of weird.
All of the Sasha Banks action figures, whether they're the basic ones or the Elite ones, are all horrible. The Funko Pop, on the other hand, that one's pretty close. But the actual action figures, they are terrible. And if I was Sasha Banks, I would put somebody in the bank statement for making my action figure so bad.
Yeah, they're actually very odd. The Bayley ones I actually really like because they're really cute. Because I like the ones with the mouth open. I think it's just like, it reminds me of her entrance.
Yeah, I don't understand. Izzy, tell me, all of the women's and this is all the women's action figures. All of the women's action figures look like the women that they're supposed to be, except for Sasha Banks. I think there's a conspiracy.
And right now I'm actually looking at a picture of the Sasha Banks Funko, and it actually looks really cute because I've never seen it like that close up.
Yeah, it's really good. But the Sasha Banks action figure, they're horrible. I don't, it's just making me upset. It's just making me upset. All right, let me ask you about the reunion of the Shield. So that took place on Monday night. The fists came out. Mm-hmm. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are supposedly now on the same page. Do you think they will beat Sheamus and Cesaro for the Raw Tag Team Championship?
That is a very tough question. I know they finally reunited, and I know there was a whole lot of arguing about, hey, I don't trust you, or come on, man, what do I have to do to make you believe me and trust me and all that stuff. But I'm actually really happy. But I actually kind of wanted, like, Seth to do the whole thing, like, you're not going to trust me enough. I feel like you're going to turn on me after what I did to you and all that stuff. And then they're going to have, like, a feud. But I think they might do the whole thing with Cesaro and Sheamus when they beat the New Day, like, where they just win randomly. Because I was very sad of that, and I love the New Day. If you don't know, but I really do love the New Day. And so I was very sad about that, but I wouldn't mind seeing maybe the Shield, if that's what they're going to call them again. Maybe half of the Shield winning the Raw Tag Team Championship.
Are there any other matches at SummerSlam that you are very excited about or that you think could steal the show?
I'm not really sure. Hold on. I actually have I just had the list and now I turned it off to look at the Funko Pop. So I have to turn that back on. SummerSlam. Okay. Let's see. There we go. I believe this is it. So I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I know. I just found it. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens with Shane McMahon being the guest referee. I'm actually really excited for. What are you excited for? I want to know.
You know what? You great minds think alike, because I think AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens could be the match of the night. I thought their first match, which ended in the countout, was kind of okay, but they were saving all their good stuff for later. I thought the last match that they had just did not click, and was just okay. But this might be the match where if they get some time, and who knows how much time they're going to get. I mean, they have 8 hours of SummerSlam or something we're going to be watching on Sunday night. If they get the time and they actually get to really go at it, I think that match may really excite a lot of people. AJ Styles is excellent. Kevin Owens is excellent. Who knows what Shane McMahon's going to bring to the table. But I think that match, as well as the Fatal 4-Way, I think those are the two matches that I'm looking forward to the most at SummerSlam, and of course Sasha Banks, winning the championship. Are there any matches that you could care less about? Are there any matches when they come on during SummerSlam, you're going to be like, it's time for me to eat, and and then go do something else?
I'm not really sure. I think maybe Oh, and one more thing. I am very excited about Naomi versus Natalia with Carmella with the Money in the Bank. Just saying. Oh, I found it. Maybe it might be the Miz versus Jason Jordan.
Not excited about that one.
Canada? Yes. Big Show versus Big. Endo Mori is going to be suspended in the shark cage or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that one either.
I'm going to say Rusev versus Randy Orton. And there's actually, there's not a lot, but it sounds like a lot. I think that's only 2, I believe. No, that's 3.
Yeah, but it feels, listen, after all 14 hours of SummerSlam, it's going to feel like a lot when it comes to it.
So probably when I'm okay, this is getting too much, I'm going to be I don't feel like seeing this match now. I'm not really sure. I'm actually pretty excited for Cena and Baron, because Cena was the whole thing why Baron did not win. Because if Cena didn't jump on the aprons, Baron could have been champion right now, right this second, while we're talking on the best podcast.
But he's not, because he failed miserably. So let that be a lesson to Baron Corbin. Probably the worst Money in the Bank cash-in I have ever seen. So look, let me just get your overall prediction of the weekend between TakeOver and SummerSlam when Sunday night rolls around and it's 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is by the time the shows are all over. Will these two shows have provided entertainment and excitement? Will we be happy with TakeOver and SummerSlam when both these shows are done?
That's actually a good question. I'm not really sure, because I'm hoping both of them are going to be good, because I just love TakeOvers. Because actually one of my favorite TakeOvers were Chicago, because I thought that was actually a really good takeover. Because, like, some takeovers are okay, and then I'm like, wow. But I also love Respect, NXT TakeOver Respect. So I'm hoping, that NXT TakeOver 3, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 is going to be really good. It might be the best of all of them. So I guess they announced that they're going to do one more SummerSlam in Brooklyn. So we might be seeing NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. So I wonder what's going to be the logo for that. But I think I might enjoy them. Like, I'm really excited for both of the pay-per-views. Hoping they're good. I think the card looks awesome. Like, at first, after the whole Bayley injury, I was like, SummerSlam was going to be so bad. And now that it's kind of like leveling up, I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm pretty excited. Bayley sucks. It's supposed to be her first SummerSlam. Legit, her first SummerSlam. I was like, oh, I wonder what she's going to wear. I even got the new Bayley gummy bears for the whole thing. And then the whole Hey, We Want Some Bayley shirt that they just came out with on FYE. So, and it was actually the only one in the store. It was a small, so thank God it was my size. And I was so scared. And then my really good friends, I don't know if you know them, the Hugger Section people, Lisa and Johnny, if you ever find Hugger Section signs, they make them. So we're really good friends with them, and they said that they made a lot of signs for SummerSlam, for Bayley's entrance and stuff. So now they're all ruined.
Well,
so I feel bad.
Well, they just got to save them, then. You got to save them for something else. You got to save her. Yeah. I mean, they got to save them for her return when she comes back and loses to Sasha Banks.
No! I'm sorry. I love Sasha, but we're going to get in a big argument, and I don't want that to happen on this show.
If there is one thing I know that me and you will never agree on, it is Bayley and Sasha Banks. We will be at war at this one forever, and I'm okay with that. Because I'm not going to give this one up. So it'll be okay. All those signs can be used for Bayley's return and defeat at Sasha Banks' hands, and it'll be a glorious moment for all of us.
I can't wait to see Bayley beat Sasha. And I'm going to say, remember the podcast that I did with you, the first one? So I don't know if we're going to do other ones, because I used to love podcasts a lot. But I'm going to say, remember that one podcast that we did, and we were talking about when TakeOver 3 and SummerSlam?
Oh, I remember it.
Look who won now. We're having that debate. So Bayley won now.
Oh, you don't worry about it.
Who won?
You don't worry about it, Izzy. I'll remember this one. Look, how could I possibly forget that you're like the number one Bayley fan in all the world? And I don't know that you'll be able to forget that I may not be the number one Sasha Banks fan in all the world, but I will fight anybody who claims to for that right. So, so one day, this match will occur. You know it, and I know it, and and it will be. It's going to be ferocious here on this podcast. And we will go back to the audio video. It's not even audio tape anymore. It's all digital. We will go back to the audio and pull it up, and I will relive how amazing I was at predicting Sasha Banks' victory and Bayley's defeat. It'll be great. I can't wait for it. Okay. Look, I'm excited about this weekend. I know you're excited about this weekend. Tons of wrestling to watch. NXT TakeOver on Saturday night. There's like 8 hours of that. And then on Sunday, it's WWE SummerSlam. That is going to be, I believe, 20 whole hours that you can tune into on the WWE Network. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot of wrestling this weekend. So hydrate and prepare. So I will. So Izzy, it has been a pleasure. As always, it is talking with you. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and
thank you.
And let's make sure we give a shout out. Make sure you follow Izzy on Twitter at IzzyMania, correct?
Yes. Just make sure to follow me, and I'll accept it, and we can be best friends.
All right, no
and
more.
Make sure at every pay-per-view, if I don't go to it, I usually do a live stream of my predictions, so make sure to come along on my predictions if you are following me. Or if you don't follow me, please follow me and join with my live streams. I love more people and meeting new people. So thank you so much for having me, Billy. Thank you so much. I had so much fun talking about wrestling, of course, and SummerSlam and Brooklyn TakeOver 3.
Always. So it's Izzy. Izzy, no more late night live streams. But other than that, make sure you follow her on Twitter at IzzyMania. Make sure you get on there on Sunday before SummerSlam. So that's probably going to be at like 1:30 in the afternoon or something like that. For her pre-SummerSlam prediction show. Once again at IzzyMania. It's Izzy. Thank you very much, Izzy.
Yay! Thank you.
Okay. It is time for our expert-in-chief, Tom Nix, now to join the podcast today because, as I said at the top of the show, there is so much wrestling we have to talk about this week. We've talked about SummerSlam. We've talked about NXT TakeOver. Now we must talk about New Japan Pro-Wrestling and all the madness of the G1 Climax 27 of this year. Tom, how are you, my friend?
Man, I just watched some of the best wrestling of the year, so I am fantastic, brother. How about you?
I've been trying to watch as much G1 as I can. We've discussed this off air.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. I mean, it's what 19. I think it's 19 nights. They're all like 3+ hours. And plus, with the move going on, it's been tough to like settle in and watch it in all of its entirety. But I have made it a point to watch as much as I possibly can in order to really get the major impacts of the G1. So, look, the G1 is now over, but we're going to talk about the tail end. First, what I figured we would do is let's get last week's homework out of the way. The homework that was actually 2 weeks ago. Last week we didn't have a show, once again, because of the move. But let's get the homework out of the way. And then we'll get into the end of the G1 Climax because there was a ton. There was stuff I wanted to talk about last week. And we're going to wedge it all together into like a discussion of at least like 5 key matches, I think, towards the end of the G1. We won't go super in depth about them, but there's plenty of stuff that you should know happened at the end of the G1. And we'll talk about sort of what it means going forward for New Japan. So last week's homework was Tomohiro Ishii versus Nagata from the August 1st night of the G1 Climax. Which night that was in as far as number-wise, I don't know. You can look that up on your own. But you recommended this match for the homework because, as you suspected, you know how much I love to watch 2 Japanese guys get into the ring and beat the hell out of each other.
That's correct.
And this was that. This was exactly that. It was everything I could have dreamed 2 Japanese guys getting into the ring and beating the hell out of each other could be. And it was, and look, and I sent you a text after I just watched this match too. And I said, I will even forgive some of the no-selling in this match, which, as we know, is a huge problem for me. But there was so much violence in this match that I was able to just be like, what the hell?
Exactly.
Yeah,
no, it's
No, go right ahead, Tom.
Yeah, no, this match is that match was fantastic. I mean, like it's not anywhere close to the best of the tournament or anything like that, but it's a great story. And I just love that old Blue Justice is just taking it to people. Like, he's not winning a whole bunch of matches, but like the crowd is super behind him always, and he's always putting on one of the best matches of the night at 49 years old. And when you put him up against the Stone Pitbull, also like a, early 40s guy who is just known for pounding people into oblivion. You just get magic with these two. It's just a fantastic match.
Yeah, look, this is not going to be for everyone's cup of tea because, it's hurting. It hurts you to watch it. I'm not going to lie. When I watch it, I mean, I won't say cringeworthy, but there's plenty where you're just like, because
it's not a Naito taking a second rope, pile driver from Ibushi or anything like that. But like, yeah, they beat the tar out of each other.
I mean, the funny thing is, and this is probably no lie, if I went back and calculated it, I could probably get a more specific number. But there's probably only about 7 wrestling moves executed during the entirety of this match. The rest of it is just forearm shivers and slaps and knife edge chops and kicks and lariats, and that's like the most that's most of this match. So if you're looking for like a technical display of grappling, this is not that. This is that's two correct. Guys on opposite ends of the ring who are looking to just beat the other person into not being able to stand up anymore so that they can get a 3 count. And it's glorious.
That's accurate, and yes, it is. Yeah. I do want to call attention to the fact that, like, because WWE, is the kind of the touchstone for most wrestling fans, when you say slapping, when you think of that in a WWE perspective, when a wrestler slaps another wrestler, it's almost exclusively like a sign of disrespect.
Yes.
I'm going to slap you on the cheek because I'm better than you, or I just think you're so beneath me. In Japanese wrestling, a slap is a legitimate strike, and these things like especially of how the Japanese ring is lit. When someone gets slapped, it is just an explosion of sweat that comes off the other person, and it adds so much to that strike. So, like, don't think that because these two wrestlers are slapping each other that they're doing it with daintily or with I'm so much better than you and you don't mean anything to me. No, this is just open hand palm strikes, and it's a different thing over there.
Yeah, this would be a slap. Like, if I delivered one of these slaps to you, the handprint shaped bruise that would probably be on your face would last about 4 days. It is not. Yeah, it's not a gentle. I mean, like someone like Tetsuya Naito will use slaps as a means of disrespect.
Correct.
And spitting in guys' face and whatnot, in the classic villainous way that we envision it. But this is like, I am going to actually slap the taste out of your mouth. And I love it. I love it so much.
There's just a point in virtually every Japanese wrestling match where it's just two guys hammering each other with fists and elbows, and it is almost always the best part of the match.
Yeah, for people who aren't all that familiar with New Japan and listening to this podcast, I don't know how you're not there yet. But the way that I would liken it to is sort of going back to some of the ECW stuff. You would see a lot of this when they would bring in guys like Tanaka or Tajiri at some points, where they just trade in the middle of the ring for extended periods of time. Even for people who watch WWE almost exclusively, if you were to go back to sort of the NXT TakeOver with Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke in the middle of the ring, where they have like an extended period of just trading shots. That's kind of what it's like, but with like much more impact behind the strikes. Yeah. How these guys don't have broken jaws on a regular basis is beyond me to a certain degree, because of how much power goes behind some of these strikes. But that's why they're professionals, I guess.
Yes, and if you want to watch what I assume is going to be a very New Japan Pro Wrestling style match, this Saturday you've got Aleister Black versus Hideo Itami at TakeOver, and that is going to be two dudes just kicking and hitting each other for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, they are two tremendous strikers. And as we covered sort of earlier in the show, and that match is going to be two guys beating the hell out of each other. And I think it's going to be in a way that really we kind of haven't seen Hideo Itami too much on the NXT landscape. I think Aleister Black is the kind of guy who like feeds into what he's really good at. So I would agree. All right, let's get into some of the rest of the G1. Because last week, before we had to sort of postpone the show, I was super excited to talk about one particular match on the show. And you know what it is. You know what it is. There was
but tell us anyway. What match is it, Billy?
The Juice! The Juice ran wild! Juice Robinson. And we talked about this too, heading into sort of where we were going towards as we were moving to the end of the G1. I said that there may be some upsets coming towards the end. I specifically said I thought it was going to be on the Okada side.
But in your heart, was it really an upset?
Listen, this is a result that everyone knew should have been coming. But Juice Robinson, and I believe this was on it was like the next to last finale. Is that what it was, or was it like two? Or maybe it was the second. There were three matches when we talked last about the G1, and I think this was the first of the three.
It was.
Yeah. And Juice Robinson surprised everyone by scoring a pinfall victory over the cleaner Kenny Omega. And the world
rolled it right up after right before a one-winged angel.
Yes.
Rolled his ass right up.
A victory roll off of the one-winged angel. The crowd was stunned. Juice Robinson was partially stunned.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega was certainly stunned. The wrestling Twitter was stunned. And I knew it was coming all along. So
Billy was the one. Billy... Juice Robinson, if you're listening, Billy has believed in you since day one.
Yes, or since like day 37. So I mean, it's a little bit further along, but as we all know, I'm a Juice Robinson fan, and it was a very cool moment because it threw a wrinkle into the G1 at that point in time. Because as we said, Kenny Omega had only had one loss to that point. Okada was undefeated to that point, and they looked like they were moving towards a situation where it was going to be basically all or nothing in their match. Ultimately, that sort of was where it was anyway, but by having additional losses added to their records, it threw a little bit more drama and put more pressure on certain participants as their matches moved on. So I thought it was a nice thing. It's certainly an excellent rub for Juice Robinson. So I think that is beneficial to him in the sort of New Japan Pro Wrestling landscape to score a victory over the United States champion, the IWGP United States champion. What that means for him necessarily moving forward and what they envision for Juice Robinson, I do not know. But a Juice Robinson win over Kenny Omega at this point in Kenny Omega's run in New Japan Pro Wrestling, that's a big deal.
Huge deal. And the same can be said for Evil, who beat Okada on the same night.
Yeah, in back-to-back matches.
Yeah,
you know, and that's sort of what I said at that point, building the drama through the tournament, because at that point, with Kenny Omega having then two losses, it was basically, you know, he had to win everything. He had to run the table in order to win his block of the G1, and Okada could have sort of run out the clock on him. But with Evil beating Okada, once again, it sort of evened the tables again. It really, after that night, it left us exactly where we were, with Kenny Omega still just 2 points down of Okada. But you had two big wins coming for Juice Robinson and Evil to elevate them in the New Japan landscape, much like we had with Tomohiro Ishii at the G1 Special in USA. Having wins like this over guys who don't necessarily need the wins creates huge rubs for them and how the public perceives them as contenders.
For sure. Like, I never really gave Evil a second thought, really, because he's pretty much only in tag team matches, generally. He's part of the Los Ingobernables stable, and this was the first time I'd really seen him, like, have a series of singles matches, and he was blowing me away every night. Like, he's a really, really excellent wrestler. I really thought this was Sonata's year to be, like, the breakout member of Los Ingobernables, but Evil just he had a great G1, and like you said, like, he beat Okada, and he beat all these, and like he took Kenny Omega to the limit, and he beat all these people that now you're like, okay, I would like to see him have a world heavyweight title shot. I would like to see him wrestle, Tanahashi again, and I would like to see him do all this. And now you've got a second single star in Los Ingobernables, if that's what you want to do with him. He's ready.
And as we've discussed previously, and how much I love Okada, in order to beat Okada, you have to have a premium match and still be able to overcome his excellence. And Evil did that. So that makes Evil a player in the landscape. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be in the title picture, but he's going to get a title shot along the way because he's earned it.
Right, exactly.
All right,
but,
so go ahead. Go ahead and make your point, Tom, and then we'll move on to the block finals.
Oh no! I was just gonna reiterate that yes, it's nice that they're trying to build new stars, and now I know, and you know, and the world knows why the finals of the United States tournament was not Naito versus Omega, because they had that planned for the finals of the G1.
Yes. So look, in order to get there, we had the finals of the A block and the finals of the B block. So the finals of the A block was Tetsuya Naito versus Tanahashi. That seemed to be the way it was going. And the interesting part about all of this, and we've discussed this because Tetsuya Naito is an incredibly complex individual in Japanese wrestling, because he's a complete scumbag. And a despicable human being, but the crowd loves him for it. And Tanahashi
loves him.
and Tanahashi is the ace of New Japan. He's a babyface hero for a long time, and but we started to see some heelish tendencies come out from him during the G1. And it was incredibly interesting in this match because the crowd, especially right out of the gate, was solely behind Naito. It became a little bit more 50-50 as the match went on. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that time where like nobody liked Hulk Hogan anymore. Where people were just like, yeah, I get it, but I'm tired of it. Like, I want something else. And that's what it seemed like here was that the anti-hero was ultimately the crowd favorite, and the pure hero of this was kind of rejected.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you have, like, I'm so happy for Tetsuya Naito because, again, this exact thing happened to him in 2013. He won the G1, but then everyone rejected him because he was just a white meat, boring babyface. It smelt of just corporate decisions and not that he had earned it. And now he, went on to the finals. He beat Tanahashi, and people are super behind him because he has a character. He has a purpose. And like you said, even though he is a complete jerk, he is still overwhelmingly loved because he still will cut babyface promos occasionally, and he does love wrestling, but he's just a jerk. But we are in that space worldwide where the heels are kind of the good guys, or at least the heels are the ones that are selling the most merch. You only see Bullet Club t-shirts everywhere you go, and they're all bad guys, all of them.
Yeah.
And you only see Los Ingobernables shirts outside of Japan, and they're all bad guys, all of them. And you don't see many Tanahashi t-shirts. You don't see many Elgin t-shirts. You don't see any Okada t-shirts.
Well, that's for good reason.
Because no one has that bad of fashion taste. But you don't see these actual superstar wrestler shirts. You only see the heels. And that is changing the landscape of Japan, where even though they know these characters are despicable, they understand that the wrestlers performing it are at the top level. They are dedicated to wrestling. They're dedicated to Japan, and they're cheering the people playing the characters more than they're booing the characters.
Yeah, see, the thing about it, and it goes to anything, the villain is always more interesting than the hero. They're more fun to watch. They're more complex at certain times. They get all the good lines. So it's always interesting to watch people sort of gravitate towards those sort of characters, because once again, there's also sort of I think a fantasy element too, which is that in your everyday life you can't be that person. You can't go out and be a complete douche to people. You know what I mean? You can, and you'll be treated respectively because of that. But there's going to be consequences to those actions. In the world of wrestling, there is no consequence to those actions other than showing sort of that cheaters can win at times. Ultimately, you hope that they do get comeuppance, but yeah, there is sort of, I think, a fantasy aspect to that, in that everybody's always trying to be, good and decent in their regular lives. But there's a time where you just go, yeah, what if I just want to be a complete jerk? You do that. And these guys sort of allow that outlet for that to happen.
And like I said, I love it because the wrestlers that are getting respected and cheered are legitimately great wrestlers. And it's just interesting to see that change in Japanese culture. And I'm not sure if Kenny Omega is the person that did it. He was certainly maybe the most over heel that I've seen in a while, but it's a real thing. And I'm just stoked for Tetsuya Naito to be over finally, because he has put a ton of work into that character and a ton of work into his new moveset and his new personality. And the fact that he is arguably the most over person in the company right now, I'm just happy for the dude.
Yeah, see, the interesting thing, too, about it, and here's, I think, where the difference lies between somebody like Tetsuya Naito and sort of like heels in the WWE or GFW or Lucha or whatever, is that he is not trying to be a cool heel. I think that's sort of where the difference lies. And we saw that, this whole sort of anti-hero thing, I mean, it began around the Attitude Era, and, Stone Cold is an anti-hero, whatnot. But when you look at bad guys being treated as not heroically, but being embraced by the fans, that sort of came around with like the NWO and DX and whatnot. And they were, and for all the good things that they did do during their time, one of the drawbacks, I would say, the long-term consequences of what they did manage to do was that they were cool heels. So they were heels that went out of their way to be bad, but they were still trying to be cool about it. And that's where sort of Tetsuya Naito does not fall into that category. He's an awful dude. He does not try to be cool. He does not really try to embrace the fans in that way. Sort of in like a Kevin Owens or Bobby Roode sort of way, where they're just being bad people. They're not trying to be bad people who get cheered because that means that their merch sells. They're just trying to be bad people. And as you said, the fans respond to how good they are at being bad. And that's why they like them, as opposed to sort of their badness resonating with them because it's cool to be the rebel.
Absolutely. No, I am extremely stoked for the Wrestle Kingdom main event, which we need to explain what that is.
We will explain to that.
But let's get to the B Block Finals first.
Well, see, and here's the interesting thing. So the B Block Finals sees the third time being the charm, with Kenny Omega fighting Okada. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to tell you that I believe that the better match of the Block Finals was actually Naito versus Tanahashi. I'm going to put that out there on the line. I'm going to say that from my perspective because I thought it told a better story. But with that said, the third time with Omega and Okada is no slouch. It's still fantastic. It's still a fantastic match.
Well, yeah, it was different because, like, But well, I think that if you look at them individually, I would probably agree with you.
Yes.
I think there's more suspense in the Tanahashi Naito A block final. Like it's especially with like the submissions near the end.
Yes.
Are like you were just like, oh my God, what is gonna happen? Oh my God. And like it is a very suspenseful, very well told match where, like you said, like even the ace will kind of dip into his heelish jerk tendencies because of how important this match is.
Yes.
So I think if you look at them individually, it's the better match. I think, however, if you look at it in the context of the trilogy, the better story belongs to Kenny and Okada, simply because the last time they fought, they ended in a draw that lasted 60 minutes.
Yes.
And this time, they only have 30, and Kenny has to win. Because if he doesn't go to the finals, period.
That's correct.
He has to win. So not only does he have to do something that he's never been able to do before, that he couldn't do in 60 minutes, he has to make sure that he does it in 30. And he just busts his butt for 30 minutes. Like, it is the most fast-paced, insane match because he's like, I can't take a single break for any reason. I have to put this guy down right now, or I will not win. Even a tie won't let him win. He has to win. So I think that pressure and that, like, this is why it's so fast paced. This is why there's so many crazy moves. This is why everyone is like, there's just no breathing room in this match. Is if you look at it as a do or die, I have to overcome the unbeatable and I have to do it in half the time I had last time. That's why this pace is so breathless, and that's why it makes a great capper to the story. Of course, now we know that there will be a fourth because he beat Okada. Therefore, he gets a title shot in the future, and we'll see where that goes. But yes, individually, I enjoyed Naito's match better. But I think if you look at this as the capper on a trilogy and the story they've been telling for a year, that Okada Omega match is just brilliant. It's brilliant.
I mean, and that's a really fair point. Because you have to. You're not necessarily looking at it as just an individual thing. It's part of one of three. And ultimately it's going to be now one of four, and who knows, maybe one of five.
Right.
It's just going to be a series, an overall saga. But yeah, this is, I mean, right out of the gate, it is breakneck pace.
It is nutso from the get.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of where I ding this match a little bit, is because not necessarily the pace, but because it's only operating at 30 minutes as opposed to the first one, which lasted, like 40, 45 and change, 45, I think. Yep. The second one, which went the full 60. Here working at a quicker pace, but at lesser time, I think sucks some of the drama out of the match that the previous two matches managed to have. Because especially the second match was sort of a race against the clock story as the match progressed, and the first one was just two guys going head to head. This one was there was much more urgency to Kenny Omega's mission during this match, but it didn't resonate with me as well because him winning this match in less time, as cleanly as he did at the end, sort of lacking in some of the drama, I think, made it feel slightly anticlimactic for me. Especially also knowing that there was another match afterwards, that the winner would still have to fight. Like essentially, this is like a semi-final match. It's the finals of the block, but semi-finals of the overall G1 in order to get to the finals. So look, I'm not going to knock this match. This match is incredible. I think it is. And you asked me too. I managed to get to watch this one before you, and you were like, I just want to know how it is, and I said it's really good but different than the other two. If I'm gonna sort of slot this in with the other two, I think this is probably the third best of the three. I think
I would agree with that, but yeah. I mean, I think simply because different. Of the time constraints. I mean, they only had a half an hour, where the other two, they technically had an hour to tell the story.
Yes.
They had half the time, to finish, it's like if you made Return of the Jedi, but you only gave it 45 minutes. You know what I mean? like, and I'm not saying Return of the Jedi should be the best Star Wars movie, but you get it. This is the trilogy capper. This is the end of the 3-act story, and you're giving it half the running time, which can up the drama a little bit. But I mean, I agree with you. This one is the least of the 3 matches, but like, what's that really saying?
Yeah, it's different.
I mean, they're all freaking amazing.
Yes, let's put it this way. Other people would this is the I'm not going to say the worst, because that's like the worst. It's not the right word choice. This is the lesser of the 3, but other wrestlers would kill to have this match on their record. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God. Yeah. And what I think is funny is that Kenny Omega still has never had a 5-star match. Because Dave only gives him 6s. So like the ratings came out for this match, and this match got a 6, and the Naito Tanahashi got a 5.75, which apparently means that Dave has now adjusted his scale entirely to 6 stars. Meaning that there actually is space between 5 and 6 now.
There's also really no scale. Like at that point, once you shift off of like. Yeah.
Also, at this point, we're making it up as we go along.
Yeah. Now we're
but again, I would agree with Dave where I think Dave is equating the previous 2 matches into this match. I think he's saying the reason it got a 6 and the other one didn't is because this one is the continuation and a part of a very large story where Naito versus Tanahashi is just 2 great wrestlers having a great match. And he still gave it above 5 stars.
Look, this is also why I think scores and ratings are garbage, because they're totally arbitrary, and the rules get made up as we go along in order to sort of fit in what we want to fit into them. So look, I give the Naito Tanahashi, I'm gonna give that one 17,000 stars because I thought it was really good. And as we all know, my sliding star scale keeps moving too. Look, we have there was one more match here, and that was the finals. That was Naito versus Kenny Omega. Both people essentially went through wars during their semifinal matches to get to the ultimate G1 final. And look, I want to give one quick note talking about all of these matches, because the New Japan Pro Wrestling added an additional commentator to the English commentary heading into the block finals. So they essentially went from a 2-person booth with Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, and then added Rocky Romero at the end, which I thought was bizarre, because when you have guys who are doing fine as they are in 2-person booths, why add a 3rd one and sort of disrupt the chemistry? But I thought Rocky Romero did a fantastic job.
He did.
Adding insight to these matches, and I thought, once again, look, announcing matters. Good announcing matters. Bad announcing can take away from a match. Good announcing can help draw you into a match. And I thought, as sort of being a last-minute addition thrown in, he was fantastic to add to the telling of these stories. And it continued with Naito versus Omega, because they continued to pound home that these guys had been through wars and they were in another one. And Naito versus Omega was another fantastic match. I will tell you this, and I sent you this message too. I said, please, no more reverse Ranas of any kind.
Oh, God.
I don't want to watch them anymore. They're horrible. But once again, another fantastic match. 3 outstanding finals matches in the G1 Classic 27. And this time, Tetsuya Naito walks away as the winner and is headed, hopefully and legitimately, to the main event of Wrestle Kingdom for a chance at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Okada, which will be, I think, amazing.
Oh, that match is going to be phenomenal. And again, that's the story. In 2013, he won and he fought Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, but not in the main event because the people didn't like him. Now everyone likes him, and I would argue they like him more than they like Okada.
More than the Rain? Well, that's probably because his shirt sells better.
Probably. But as much as I want to see a Kenny Omega championship run, I I hope Okada retains all the way to Wrestle Kingdom because I really, really, really want to see a Naito Okada match where they're basically both faces. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I don't.
That was the right choice. That was the right choice.
Oh, absolutely.
To have Naito win was 100% the correct choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And and they have stuff in the mix for Kenny Omega. New Japan World on their Twitter released sort of a backstage segment, which was sort of a passing in the hall between Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. So I think that's where we're going towards Wrestle Kingdom for that match to happen.
It should. That's the match. And honestly, I think even Kenny Omega would tell you that he would rather have a Wrestle Kingdom match with Ibushi than a Wrestle Kingdom match for the belt.
Yeah, because at this point now, the monkey is off his back with beating Okada here in this finals match, and he already has the United States belt. He doesn't need the regular heavyweight championship belt in order for him to do what he does. I think there's a certain understanding that Kenny, and this is once again going back to sort of how the WWE operates. This is sort of an understanding that you have a guy who doesn't need a belt to be who he is. Kenny Omega can exist. The Bullet Club can exist without him being the champion. It actually almost makes it more interesting for him not to be the champion. So in that respect, I think we have two tremendous matches that are going to be on tap as we get towards Wrestle Kingdom. I think the build over the next, it's still like 4 months, but it's going to be a nice slow build as we get there, and that's going to be Okada and Naito and Omega and Ibushi, and we'll see sort of where Tanahashi fits in. We'll see sort of where Evil fits in. We got to find out where Juice Robinson fits in. But I think
what if it's Tanahashi versus Juice Robinson for the IC belt?
Juice is gonna wear the belt. But there are a lot of interesting prospects here, and there is a commitment to sort of longer term storytelling that right now has sort of fallen by the wayside, at least here stateside. So look, who would have thought that it would be the Japanese wrestling that was telling better stories long term?
Anybody who's watched Japanese wrestling over the past 10 years would have thought that. But this year has been a banner year, and not just in terms of Japanese wrestling, but in terms of like championship reigns across all of wrestling. Kazuchika Okada's current reign is up there with the best reigns of all time by any wrestler. This reign is ridiculous.
Yeah, the match has been incredible. All of them have been incredible, and he wins all of them. Yes, he does, with the exception of this one and Evil. But
not a title defense, so it doesn't matter.
Yes,
he can lose when he's not defending his title.
Yes, but it takes two to tango, and a lot of people have gotten really good looks as a result of stepping into the ring with Kazuchika Okada result, because he's made these matches competitive.
And I do want to go real fast because I know we have a limited time, but you had mentioned Kenny Omega doesn't need the belt. Okada is the best wrestler in the world. I think at this point you can just say that, and there really isn't much of an argument against it. But I would say that he does need that belt. He is so tied to that championship that I don't want to see him not have that championship. You know what I mean? I want him to be the IWGP champion forever until someone truly comes. Honestly, I'd be happy with Naito too, but Okada always should be in contention for that because he has made that belt so important over the last year.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with that because I don't know necessarily that it is he who needs the belt, but that the belt needs him.
I would agree with that too.
Because, yes. and once again, I'm going to bring Hulk Hogan into the mix just off the top of my head. But it sort of is reminiscent of Hulk Hogan in the 80s when Hulk Hogan was having these long reigns with the then WWF Championship. Because when Hulk Hogan wasn't the champion, what the hell did you do with him? You know what I mean? Nobody knew what to do with him. I can't imagine a world where Okada is not the champion because I wouldn't know what to do with him. He's still fantastic. He's still incredible in the ring, but he now has raised the champion. He he's raised the status of the title by wearing it and the matches that he's had while wearing it. And he has made himself so championship worthy that to step down from that would feel like a demotion of sorts. So I would agree with you that I think they need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. The belt benefits from him. He benefits from the belt.
Like the Gungans and the Naboo?
Something like that. Wow. We went to episode 1. Okay. And look, I want to touch upon one more thing before we get to homework, Tom, and that is there was and I know this had to mean a lot to you. I caught up with it later and watching it. It sort of it really sort of was impactful to me as sort of late to the New Japan game. But Shibata returned.
I was going to bring it up if you weren't, so thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Shibata returned at the G1 finals. Now, when I say returned, I don't mean like he was in in-ring gear ready to fight, because that's not what this was. But with everyone sort of knowing the medical complications that resulted from his match earlier in the year, this was Shibata being able to walk to the ring of his own power, his own will, stepping into the ring and cutting the shortest but most powerful promo ever to just tell people basically that he's alive.
Yeah, that was it. He said, "I'm alive," and then everyone cheered, and he said, "That's all," and then he left. But that's all you need to say. And if that's all he gets, and maybe he shows up again at Wrestle Kingdom, and maybe he cuts a promo, maybe he's just on commentary, maybe he's got a backstage. Like, this was Shibata saying, "I'm not done with this company," which was incredible to see, and so relatively quickly. I mean, that happened in February, right? April, and it's August, and he's already walking on his own volition. That's incredible. And if he wants to wrestle again and it won't kill him, God, I want to see that happen. If he can't wrestle again, he went out on maybe the best match he's ever had and one of the best matches of the year. So what can you possibly take away from that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're seeing him in the ring anymore. I mean, this is a dude who's literally facing death as a result of the injuries he sustained from that headbutt he delivered. But I think just being able to sort of come to the place that he loves in front of the fans that love and respect him, and sort of he shows that back, and just having that moment, that's one of those wrestling special things, where you just have, it's very honest, it's very candid, it's very raw, and there's a connection there between the talent and the fan base. And that's what that was. That was there to just basically say, I'm okay. And I think that meant a lot to a lot of people, just to be able to see everything that this guy's been through, to be able to have that moment in front of us all. So really cool stuff. Look, the G1, we talked about this right out of the outset. Tons of incredible wrestling to watch. The end sort of proved that. So where are we going with homework, Tom? Are we going back into the G1 for people to get caught up, or is there something else where we're going to have people watch?
Well, I've kind of been thinking about this, because I don't really have a great suggestion for homework besides the obvious, which is everyone should watch because those 3 matches that we talked about. But that's a lot. That's a lot to watch.
That shouldn't even be homework. You should just do that.
You should just do it just to do it.
Just to complete your life.
But so like, I would still say so you definitely need to watch the final, but I don't really have any of the good homework. Right. There's just like, those 3 matches are clearly the best, that like, I don't know what else to tell you to do. Although this might be surprising. You could, if you wanted to, I know it's 2 weeks in a row, but you could all go back to the 11th, the final night of Block A, and watch. This is gonna blow your mind, Billy. Watch Yuji Nagata versus Bad Luck Fale.
Oh man, yeah. What happened? What happened here, Tom? We're signing Bad Luck Fale matches for people to watch on purpose. How?
It is so much better than you think it's going to be. And keep in mind, without giving away the finish in any way, shape, or form, keep in mind that this is the last G1 match for Yuji Nagata ever. Okay. This is his final match in the G1 that he will ever have.
And this poor bastard got...
this poor bastard got
Bad Luck Fale.
Got big old Fale.
What kind of a current call is that? I'm just saying, this guy's been around forever, and this is the fancy. This is a cheap gold watch.
I'm just gonna tell you.
Okay.
It is better than you think it's going to be.
Well, that's not saying much.
It's not, because Bad Luck Fale is in it. It's better than you think it's going to be, and it will end in a way that you might not expect.
Okay. Okay. So my expectations are already set low because you're like, it's better it's better than trash. Which is fine. Okay. I'll be open-minded. We'll go in, we'll watch it. Bad Luck Fale versus Yuji Nagata, the final night of Block A, in the New Japan Pro-Wrestling G1 Climax 27. I will.
Because watch it. All I've watched this entire month is a G1. I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown that much. Wrestle Circus isn't until the beginning of September, because they had an early August pay-per-view, or an early August event. So the only thing I can draw from is this. And yes, you need to see Tanahashi versus Naito. You need to see Omega versus Okada 3. You need to see Omega versus Naito, because they are just three of the best wrestling matches you will see all year. But if I have to suggest something, watch Yuji Nagata's final match in the G1 ever. If nothing else, I can promise you will be emotionally invested in him.
Okay. Look, we gave you an easy one this week. I mean, look, you got 39 hours of wrestling to watch this weekend as it is, between TakeOver and the 20-hour SummerSlam. So this will be an easy one.
And you know what, Billy? I'm going to throw you a bone. Juice Robinson versus Mike Elgin. Okay. Watch that too.
Juice Robinson versus Mike. Okay, so that's my extra credit. Juice Robinson versus Michael Elgin, and Bad Luck Fale versus Yuji Nagata on the final night of Block A in the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 27. Tom, a pleasure as always. Give them your Twitter song before we get out of here.
You all can follow me at @TheTomNix on Twitter. That's TheTomNix. That's me.
Until next year's G1 Climax. You'll be still around, but just keep watching the G1 Climax on repeat until next year, or until January, when we're going to have tremendous Wrestle Kingdom. I know it. All right, Tom, I'll let you get out of here. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Holy smokes. I told you it was a lot of wrestling on tap for this week. You're going to have to unbuckle your pants, Thanksgiving style, with all the wrestling you ingested, that you consumed this week on Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. Man, that was... I ain't got no more room for dessert. But I did want to talk about one other thing before I get us out of here, and that is the current standing of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. For those of you who have been following this story over the past few days, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, near his home in Atlanta, Georgia, was taken into the ICU of a local hospital close to his home. Was put into a medically induced coma at one point in time in order to go into surgery. Was having some serious organ issues, unspecified organ issues that needed to be taken care of immediately. My understanding is that the surgery went well. The Nature Boy is is recovering. So when you hear coma and that raises concerns, he is beyond that stage of his treatment. But it is a long road ahead. We haven't gotten a lot of details as to the nature of what has happened to the Nature Boy, or where he currently stands. But we do know that he is better than he was days ago. And so I want to send my thoughts, my wishes. If you got prayers, put them out there. You just want to put love into the atmosphere to get to the 16-time world champion. By all means, go ahead. Ric Flair, one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling. And I don't think any of us are ready to say goodbye to the wheelin', dealin', you know the rest. So our thoughts and our hopes go out to the Nature Boy Ric Flair, to his family, to his friends, to anybody who's there to give support to him. Keep on fighting, Rick. Woo! We all love you out there. With that said, it's time to get on out of here. So look, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever that you get your podcast from. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Blueberry, SoundCloud, you name it, we're there. Subscribe to the podcast, rate the podcast, and comment on the podcast. So subscribe, click that little button so all the podcasts are delivered right to you week in and week out. Rate the podcast. Give us 5 stars for our 5-star effort so everybody else knows how awesome the IWC podcast is. And comment. Tell them why you love this show. Tell them why they need to listen to the show. Tell them what you love about it so much and why this show is so awesome to you so that more people will gather around and join our community and listen to intelligent wrestling conversations. So subscribe, rate, and comment. Also, look, make sure you hit me up on the Twitter @InfamousKid. That's KIDD @InfamousKid. Follow me in 140 characters or less. Also, make sure you follow the Twitter handle, official Twitter handle of this podcast @The IWC Show. That's @The IWC Show for all updates going on with wrestling and with what's going on with this show. See, it's pretty self-explanatory, so make sure you take care of that for me. Look, make sure you follow Tom Nix on Twitter @TheTomNix, TheTomNix. That's him. And to our other special guest who I want to thank, the great, awesome, huggable Izzy. Follow her on Twitter @IzzyMania. Follow both of them there, and they got lots of good wrestling stuff for you to follow as well. So with that said, this has been Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. I have been your host, Billy Donnelly. We'll be back next week talking all the fallout and aftermath of NXT TakeOver and SummerSlam. Have yourself a pleasant, immediate future. I'm out for now. Peace. Intelligent Wrestling Conversation has been a podcast presentation of This Is Infamous.